The journey begins where the European continent ends, at the sun-drenched fringes of the Portuguese Algarve. Here, the Atlantic Ocean does not merely meet the land, it sculpts it. Among the hundreds of sea caves that riddle this golden coastline, one stands as a masterpiece of natural architecture, the Algar de Benagil. Known to locals as the Cathedral, this sea cave is more than a geological fluke. It is a sanctuary of light and water. As the camera glides over the turquoise swells, the rugged limestone cliffs appear like the fortress walls of an ancient world. Then suddenly, a breach appears, a massive arched gateway leading into a hidden realm. This is a place where the ceiling is the sky, the floor is fine golden sand, and the music is the rhythmic pulse of the tide. To understand Benagil is to understand the patient, relentless power of nature, a story written in stone over millions of years. To comprehend the majesty of Benagil, we must travel back nearly 20 million years to the Miocene epoch. At that time, the area we now call the Algarve was submerged under a warm, shallow sea. Billions of tiny marine organisms lived, died, and sank to the bottom, their calcium-rich shells compacting into the thick layers of limestone we see today. As the tectonic plates shifted and the sea levels fluctuated, these layers were pushed upward, exposing them to the elements. The formation of the cave itself is a masterclass in karst topography. It began with rainwater, slightly acidic from absorbing carbon dioxide, seeping through cracks in the plateau above. This water slowly dissolved the soft limestone, creating vertical chimneys. Simultaneously from below, the Atlantic Ocean launched a relentless assault. Every winter storm, every surging tide acted as a battering ram, forcing water and abrasive sand into the base of the cliffs. Over millennia, these two forces, the chemical erosion from above and the mechanical pounding from below, met in the middle. The result was a colossal dome, a hollowed-out heart inside the cliffside, crowned by a perfect circular opening, the oculus. If the stone is the body of Benagil, then light is its soul. The cave's most famous feature is the giant hole in its roof, through which the sun pours like a celestial spotlight. Throughout the day, the cave undergoes a dramatic transformation. In the early morning, the light is soft and silver, reflecting off the damp walls and giving the cave a ghostly, ethereal glow. As the sun climbs higher, the eye of the cave begins to project a moving circle of warmth onto the sand and the water. By midday, the colors of the Algarve are at their most vivid. The walls of the cave, striped with layers of ochre, rust, and cream, seem to glow from within. The water inside the cave takes on a surreal transparency, shifting from deep navy to a brilliant neon turquoise where the sunlight hits the sandy bottom. For a filmmaker, this is the golden hour frozen in stone. The interplay of shadows and highlights creates a three-dimensional depth that makes the cave feel alive, as if the earth itself is breathing. Visitors often fall silent upon entering, overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the natural illumination, a lighting design that no human architect could ever replicate. Just a few hundred meters from the cave lies the fishing village of Benagil. For generations, this was a quiet outpost where life was dictated by the seasons and the bounty of the sea. For the local fishermen, the Algar de Benagil was not a tourist attraction. It was a landmark, a place of refuge during sudden squalls, and a secret fishing spot. Legends tell of Algar being more than just geological voids. Local folklore speaks of the Moors, who occupied this region for centuries, hiding treasures within these coastal labyrinths during the Reconquista. While no gold has ever been found, the real treasure was the knowledge of the tides. The fishermen of Benagil developed a preternatural ability to navigate the treacherous narrow entrances of the caves, even in heavy swells. They spoke of the cave as a living entity, claiming they could hear the whispers of the sea echoing through the roof hole during stormy nights. Today, the colorful wooden boats that once hauled in sardines and sea bream have largely been replaced by vessels carrying curious travelers, but the spirit of the village remains tethered to the stone giant next door. Beyond its visual beauty, the Benagil Cave is a unique microenvironment. The constant moisture and protection from the harsh Atlantic winds allows specific forms of life to thrive. On the upper rim of the oculus, hardy Mediterranean plants cling to the edge, their roots dangling into the void. Below, the damp walls are a canvas for specialized lichens and algae that can survive on the minimal light that bounces off the cave floor. The marine life around the cave is equally vibrant. The underwater foundations of the cliffs are covered in sea anemones, barnacles, and small crustaceans. During the quieter months, Schools of sea bass and bream seek shelter in the calmer waters inside the cave's mouth. Birds, too, have claimed the heights. Kestrels and seagulls use the high ledges of the dome as nesting sites, their cries echoing and amplifying against the curved walls, adding a haunting soundtrack to the visual spectacle. It is a fragile equilibrium, a place where the terrestrial and marine worlds overlap in a delicate dance of survival. In the age of digital connectivity, no secret stays hidden for long. In the last decade, Benagil has transformed from a local secret into a global icon, appearing on millions of Instagram feeds and travel bucket lists. This popularity has brought prosperity to the region, but it has also brought significant challenges. On a peak summer day, the waters outside the cave can become a chaotic motorway of motorboats, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. The environmental impact is a growing concern. The constant vibration from boat engines, the physical erosion caused by thousands of footsteps on the cave's small beach, and the disturbance of nesting birds have forced the Portuguese authorities to intervene. New regulations have been implemented to limit the number of vessels and to prohibit landing on the sand during certain periods. The struggle now is to find a balance between sharing this natural wonder with the world and ensuring that the very act of visiting doesn't destroy the magic that people come to see. Benagil has become a symbol of the global over-tourism debate, reminding us that even the most ancient stones are vulnerable to the footprint of man. As the sun sets over the Atlantic, the crowds depart, and the Algar de Benagil returns to the silence it has known for millennia. The light fades from gold to deep purple, and the stars begin to peer through the oculus. This cave is a reminder of our place in the world, a brief flash in the timeline of the Earth. It tells a story of persistence, showing how the softest wave can eventually break the hardest rock. Whether viewed as a geological marvel, a spiritual sanctuary, or a warning about environmental stewardship, Benagil remains one of the most profound expressions of nature's artistry. It is a cathedral built by the tide, a place where the elements converge to create something truly transcendent. As long as the Atlantic continues to beat against the shore, the story of Benagil will continue to be written, one grain of sand and one wave at a time.